and I'll let you talk about this more so I don't actually steal it from you, but I thought that Nyck Harbor's, just day out there was really good because I thought he was a really good mix of like insight into route running, into Lenore Sellers, into the new offense. Making jokes about his dad, who was on the U.S. men's national team, telling him he was too uncoordinated to play soccer, dropping some other jokes in there. Like, I thought it was a perfect, like, Nyck Harbor performance and just really showed his personality, and it kind of came through.
Yeah, and I mean, Chris, not that he was like in a shell before, but I do think we have seen him during his time at South Carolina. We've got to know him, and I don't mean us like personally, I just mean like the fan base, media, like everybody's got to know a little bit more about what he is all about during his time here. He's always been a good talker, he's always been a willing talker, but I do think a little bit of that sense of humor has come out and just gave some really insightful answers. I love the fact that they were asking him about coming back, and part of it was, hey, Lenoris is my guy, and part of it was I didn't want to go elsewhere and play with a different quarterback, and why not try to see this thing through together, which, as we know, is not always the case in college football these days. I think you got to respect that, man. I think if those two dudes go out and have a big year this year, and their final year at South Carolina, and they win more games and they both put up big numbers, you know how much more they're going to be appreciated because they did see it through and were at South Carolina the entire their entire college eligibility. And just for him to kind of go to bat for Lenoris a little bit, that's my quarterback. I'm a Gamecock for life. All those different things I think went a long way. And even just some of the technical detail, though, about a lot of us, it's very easy, Chris, to be like, hey, why don't you run better routes? Well, think about just the dynamics of being 6'5" and running as fast as he is and does. And, I believe he did in one interview. It might have been with Heath Klein, maybe someone else. He had a great interview with Heath. I know that. The hardest route for Lenoris to run, the comeback route. You're like, okay, what's so hard about that? Well, think about how of a long strider he is. And you're trying to sell on the comeback route, you're trying to sell that you're going deep. And so everybody's worried about you going deep if you're Nyck Harbor. Well, you're taking those long legs, those long strides, and you've got to now break it down and stop and then get turned all the way back around and head to the sideline back towards your quarterback. That's not easy. It seems, on a video game it's easy, but just the reality of that, it's not that easy. So route running is not literally just as simple as, hey, get out there and practice it, man. Yeah, that's some of it. But, going back to Jake Crane, too, he was like, man, Lenoris has got to be able to do more for them than the deep ball and the post. So I do agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's just as, like, simple as, come on, man, why can't you run routes better? Like, it's not there's a reason why the guys that look closer to looking like me and Chris, like short and, not massive, are playing the slot position, and they're running these little, short zig routes, out routes, slant routes, and then that your bigger guys are running downfield routes. It's easier to change direction when you have a short stride. So I thought all that was just a little bit enlightening, and kind of was one of those things where, like, yeah, I guess I kind of knew that, but I wasn't really thinking about it like that.
Yeah, and man, we've seen his progression too, though, from what he was as a freshman to now. Like, and he's worked really, really hard on it, to his credit. Not only with route running, but the hands, tracking the ball, understanding how to play receiver. When Nyck got here, he was a big, fast guy who was still very much learning how to play receiver. And the exciting thing about him is he can get better in his last year, but we've seen that progression with him becoming a more, complete receiver. But there's a reality to it. If you're a guy that's 6'5", 240 pounds, that's a track sprinter type, your route tree is going to be a little bit different in the way that you run those routes. He's not going to be the way that he runs routes versus Jaden Sellers, for instance, is just going to be a lot different. But I thought he had a really good day out there. It was good to hear from him. It was kind of the full Nyck Harbor experience. Everything from praying with Steven Garcia to making jokes about girlfriends and side chicks and all sorts of stuff. It was just the perfect encapsulation of Nyck Harbor, I thought.